Okay, so good morning, bonjour tout le monde. My name is Dawn, and today I'm going to lead you through a slow yoga flow to start. And we're going to use a block. You may have a block at home. It could be a proper yoga block. If you don't have a block, you could use a big hardcover book. That'll work perfectly also. If you don't have either, not to worry, we can still just go through without. We're going to be using our mats this way around, horizontal, and we're good to go. So let's start at the top of our mats. We stand in mountain pose. Our feet can be together, the feet can be slightly apart. And we're going to press into our toes, into our heels, and stand as tall as possible. As we breathe in, lifting our arms, sweeping them up high, tucking the tailbone under, and leaning back into our back bend. Exhaling, folding forward, keeping our spine as long as we can. If you need to, go ahead, bend your knees, tuck your body in nice and close. Rising halfway up, we can either rest into our fingertips, or maybe just rest our hands against our shins as we lengthen from crown of head to tailbone. Exhaling, folding back down, hands to mat. Inhale, sweep the arms back up high, breathing in all the way up. Exhaling, and coming back to our mountain pose. So let's try that again. Inhaling, taking our back bend. Breathing out through the nose as we fold forward. Looking in towards the thighs. Rising up onto fingertips, flat back extension. And exhale, fold back a little bit closer. Inhale, drive up from the toes, rise up. And exhale, hands by side to mountain. One more time, breathe in. Folding as we breathe out. Halfway up, inhale. Exhale, folding, and this time we'll pause right here. Give a head a little shake from side to side, let any tension leave from your neck. And then let your head find a place where it naturally wants to hang. Allow it to feel heavy. With each exhaling breath, try and draw your body in towards your thighs just a little bit closer. From here, we can lunge back with our right foot. Take a long step back, land on the toes, bend into your front knee, and look forward. Imagine from the crown of your head right down to that back heel, you're making a long straight line. And on your exhaling breath, stepping the opposite foot back, pressing your tailbone up into the sky, and coming into your first downward facing dog. This is all about lengthening the spine. So if you need to, the knees can be bent. If you can, straightening the legs. You might find your heels are still raised. You might be able to press your heels towards the floor. So if we pause here, we can just do a pedaling motion. Maybe stretch the legs a little bit more. And then see if we can press both heels back a little bit further. And that's our downward facing dog. As we breathe in, the weight comes forward. We bring it into the hands, into a plank or push-up pose. So for the first one or two, let's bring our knees to the mat for support. Tuck the elbows in, and then as we bend the elbows, we come in towards the ribs so we can lower our body towards the mat. As we straighten the legs out, the body surges forward, and we can come up either into a baby cobra. If your spine is good and warm, you could lift up higher and come to your full cobra. Tucking the toes under, lifting back up into downward facing dog. Lift your chin and look forward towards your hands. I want you to step your right foot all the way in. Toes come level with your fingertips. You may find on that first step in it doesn't quite get there. You may need to help it in with your hand, and that's perfectly fine also. From here we step the feet together, back to our forward fold. Rising up on the inhale. Coming grounded on the exhale. So let's try another salutation on the opposite side this time. Starting from our mountain pose, we inhale, take our back bend. The exhaling breath, swan dive forwards. As we rise halfway up, we breathe in again. Exhaling back into our forward fold, pressing our hands into the mat, connecting the fingertips, the heel of the hand, this time stepping our left foot back into our lunge. Step back into our down dog, lifting the tailbone up high, pushing it towards the back of the room. The in-breath, we come to our plank or push-up position. And from here, we can either drop to our knees, as we did in that first salutation, or if you can, staying on the toes, lowering towards the mat slowly, and then we surge through into our cobra. Exhaling back up into our down dog. And this time as we look forward, it's our left foot that steps in. So again, if you can get all the way in, or if you only get halfway in, physically help the foot in. When you check your knee is over your ankle here. Stepping together, forward folds, lifting tall. And release. So 2 more times. Try and make it continuous as you breathe in and breathe out. It's our breath that leads our motions. So let's lunge with our right foot. And create that long line from the tailbone, crown of head, heel. Into our down dog. Coming forward to our plank. Knees or toes, we start to lower. We surge through. And this is our cobra. If you want to come into up dog, it's the same position except our thighs are elevated off the mat. A little bit work for the spine. Tucking or rolling over the toes back into our down dog. Stepping in with our right foot. And then the left. Breathe. And release. Beautiful. Once more. Beautiful deep back bend. We can go a little deeper as our spine warms. Folding close. Halfway. Folding again. Lunging with our left foot. Tied down dog. Floating all the way into the hands to plank. Lower. Cobra or maybe to our up dog. And exhaling into down dog. Left foot then steps in. Come to our folds. The in-breath brings us up. It's our uplifting breath. Now exhale. Is our grounding breath. So our body should be a little warmer and a little looser. So we'll stay standing. I'd like you to keep your right foot at the top of the mat. Take a nice long step back with your left foot. And if you're worried about how wide the feet are apart, there's a rough idea. If you look at your own shoulder width, roughly 3 times the width of your shoulders is a good position to start from. The front foot is facing forward. Bend into the front knee, checking. You can still see the toes over the kneecap. And our back foot on a slight angle. You bring your hands to your hips, manually turn your body face forward as much as you can. And then elevate the arms. Placing our fingers together. Extending the index fingers into Jupiter Mudra. Just pushing those index fingers to the ceiling. And this is our Warrior One pose. Pausing for 3 deep breaths in, and as you exhale, come a little deeper. You may find you're looking upwards to the ceiling. You might find it more comfortable just to look forward. From our Warrior One, we're going to turn the hips to face forward. Release our arms, leveling them out. We can keep them reasonably level here. And we can stay looking forward, or we can look over our front hand. And this is our Warrior Two. Again, sinking on that exhaling breath. And continuing to look at that front hand, if we turn the palm upwards, we slowly lean back, allowing our back hand just to rest into our side for support. And imagine your top palm is pushing to the wall behind you. Sun Warrior pose. It's a beautiful heart opener. exhale, we come back to center. Shoulders over hips, looking forward, warrior two. And then we can reach forward, resting our front arm on the side. And our back arm, if we circle it down, is going to help to open through the shoulder as we reach over our ear. Look up to the sky. Side angle pose. So let's link these movements with our breathing. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, come back to center, warrior two. Turning the front palm as you inhale. Sun warrior pose as you lean back. Exhaling, warrior two. Inhale, reach. We lean over, make that beautiful long line from fingers to heel. That brings us back to our warrior two. And we inhale to lean back. Exhaling to center. So one last time, let's reach. We lean into our side angle. Exhale back to our warrior two. Inhale to sun warrior. Exhale to warrior two. And we pause. So we can feel our legs working, strengthening. Let's straighten that front leg. Reach forward. And this time we're going to lower our front hand and either just rest it against the shin. If you need to stay up higher, you could rest against your thigh. Or if you have your yoga block, place it just on the inside of that front foot. And we can rest our hand onto the block for support. And what we want to achieve here is keeping our top shoulder stacked over our bottom shoulder. And our top hip stacked over the bottom hip. Imagine your body is between two panes of glass, and you're just going to pause here. Triangle pose. Let's give that front knee a little bit of a bend. Bring ourselves back up to standing. And then straighten the legs, and we're going to turn our toes so we're facing forward completely. From here, hinging forward. Bringing our hands to our thighs for support. This is a wide leg forward fold. We can go a little further, maybe resting our hands into our shins or our ankles. Again, you may need to use your block, and this time having it the lower way round. Resting your hands on the block and allowing your body just to fold over and hang. Start to feel the stretch into the back of the legs. Our hamstring muscles are working here. The muscles, the vertebrae in the back of the neck are loosening, stretching. Bending both knees slightly round your spine. Take your time, roll yourself back up to standing. Coming all the way back up. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. Take a couple of breaths. So let's turn our left foot out. Turn the right foot in. Hands to hips. We manually turn our body facing the back wall. And we can bend our front knee. Again, check. You can see your knee, your toes over your kneecap. If not, wriggle that foot a little further forward. Our arms rise. Fingers lace together. Index fingers extend. We're back into our warrior one on the opposite side. As you exhale, imagine your front hip is just sinking a little deeper down. Releasing the arms, we open from the hips, we come to our warrior two, leveling out the arms. And in warrior two, try and make sure shoulders over hips. We want to avoid being in the future. We want to avoid being in the past. We want to be right there in the present. Let's look at the front palm. Turn upwards. Slowly on the inhaling breath, we lean back. Looking upwards to the sky. Into our sun warrior pose. Exhale, we come back to center, arms level out to our warrior two. And then we reach forward, rest our front arm on the thigh, circle down to open through the shoulders, reaching out long into our side angle pose. If you can, look upwards past your elbow to the ceiling. Let's use our breath as we exhale to warrior two. Inhale, sun warrior. Exhale, back to warrior two. Inhale, reaching, side angle pose. Exhale, back to warrior two. Let's use 2 more rounds with the breath. And the slower we can breathe, the longer we have to get into each part of that pose to really feel it. In our warrior two. Straighten our front leg. Maybe just give that front knee a slight bend so we don't put too much strain onto the knee joint. We reach, and then we come to our triangle pose, resting our hand against the shin if we can. Ankle, maybe higher into the thigh, or again, using our block just by placing it on the inside of that front foot. And then we can rest onto the block. Our top hand down to our top shoulder is aligned over our bottom shoulder, down to our bottom hand. Triangle pose. Let's bend into the front knee, bring ourselves back up. Relaxing the arms to our thighs for a moment. Let's turn our feet, facing forward. Back to our forward fold, and it should be a little easier second time round. Our body's been here once already, it knows how it's going to feel, so let's start to fold. Maybe keeping our hands on our thighs, going a little lower into our shins or our ankles, maybe using your block in the center. Or if you have the flexibility, bringing your hands to the mat. Even if you're a little bit more flexible, bend your elbows and come all the way down. Stretch for the back of the body. Take one more breath in here. And as you exhale, just rise up halfway, either resting into your block if you have one. If not, you could make a fist with your hands and rest into your fists instead. Lift your chest. Imagine the crown of your head is reaching all the way forward, your tailbone pushing backwards. Keep resting into our right hand. And as we inhale, lift our left arm up, reach up high into a beautiful, strong standing twist. As we exhale, the hand comes down. We make that fist, or we rest into our block. And on the inhaling breath, we lift up and twist in the opposite direction. Inhale, lifting. This time we can go a little bit further. We can take that top hand and wrap it around the lower back. And maybe you can even wriggle your fingertips underneath your bottom rib cage. If that's too far, you can just rest your hand onto your lower back. Breathing in to reach up. Exhaling the hand down. Let's try that in the opposite direction. On the inhale, we lift and twist. And as we exhale, we wrap around. Inhale to reach. Exhale, bringing the hands back down. Let's take our hands a little further forward. Step our feet back, come to our down dog. Bend both of our knees, bring them down to the mat. If we take our knees slightly wider apart, we can sit back into child's pose, pressing our tailbone to heels and resting the forehead. Slowly lift the head, walk the hands in, and come back to kneeling. So with this next posture, we're going to come into bridge pose, which is a nice back extension. Again, if you have the block, we can use the block. If you don't have a block or a book to use, you can do the same position without either. So with or without. So I'll show you both options. We're going to come down onto the mat, feet together, knees bent, and then just slide your seat in towards your heels as much as you can, and then roll yourself down onto the mat. As you come down, try and spread your shoulder blades out so you feel the middle of the back touching the mat. Hands by our side. Tuck the chin in slightly so you feel your neck lengthening. From here, as you breathe in, squeeze into the back of the body, lift your tailbone off the floor, and imagine you're rolling up your spine, one vertebrae at a time, pushing your hips up into the air. As you exhale, bring it back down again. And inhale, rise up. Exhale, brings us down. So this time as we lift up, we're going to pause. Let's rise up slowly, take your time, breathe slowly. Feel each little bump of the spine as you roll up. You're going to bring the weight up onto the upper back. Underneath your body, clasp your hands together, make a fist, and then try wriggling your elbows in a little bit closer. And I can feel the top edges of your arms touching the mat. You might find you can bring your feet in a little bit closer, and that's going to allow you to lift up higher into your bridge pose. So if you don't have a block, just pause right here. If you do have a block and you want to give it a try, we're going to release back down. We're going to take our block, and if you can, have it the highest way up. If you find that's too much, you can turn it to the medium way up. So repeat that, we come back up onto our shoulder blades. And rather than using our hands underneath, we can lift up, place the block underneath, and rest our weight into the block. And then make sure our feet come flat to the floor. And this is a supported bridge pose, beautiful back extension. Stay here for 3 slow breaths in. 3 slow breaths out. Exhale, we'll lift off the block. Remove it from underneath if we have it. We have our hands clasped, we can release them, and again rolling down gently until the lower back is touching the floor. And to give that back a little stretch, hug your knees in towards your chest. If you allow your tailbone just to lift slightly, you get a nice lower back stretch. We can circle our knees around. That should feel really good. In towards you and bringing yourself back up to seated. Let's face forward, extend the legs out long, and sit nice and tall. Inhaling our arms up high. And as we exhale, coming to a seated forward fold. So we're going to imagine we're reaching up over the hips, coming forward, bringing the hands down wherever they land. It might be by your toes, you might need to stay a little higher up. And then we can soften down. Pose we do in yoga, there's a counter pose. And this is our counter pose for our back extension, our bridge. In this position, our spine is flexed. It should feel comfortable and open. plugged into our lower back. The opposite to our lower back are our hips. So we're going to give our hips a little stretch here, and we're going to come into cow face pose. So this is quite a tricky one. We're going to bend both knees. Take your right leg, tuck it underneath your left, and slide it over as far as you can. And then take that left foot, bring it over to the right side so that our knees are stacked one on top of the other. Once you're in this position, if you lift your seat off the floor, you can kind of squeeze your thighs a little tighter together and then sit yourself back down again. And in this position, you feel a slight pulling into both hips. So in this position, we have our left leg on top. We're going to lift our right arm. Our left arm is going to reach around behind us, and we're going to bring the hands down. So behind your body, if you can, you're going to bring your fingers together and give them a little pull. So we reach around, we take those fingers, and we take a little pull, and then we can bow forward. Now for some people this might be totally impossible. You're not going to be able to reach your fingers. That's not a problem. We can stay with our hands just resting on our shoulders and our lower back. Or you can take that top hand and just use it to bring across and then bring your weight forward. Any of those options are perfectly fine. So go to where's comfortable for your body. Come forward, and this is our cow face pose. Stretching, we feel our shoulders stretching. So let's take one more breath in. As we exhale, rise up. Release the arms first. Give those shoulders a little roll. And then bring your fingertips to the floor in front. So if you notice here, you have your left leg on top. What I want you to do is bring your weight forward. Tuck your toes under. Lift your knees up off of the floor. And then you're going to do a complete 360. You're going to walk your hands around, just pivoting on your toes. Don't be afraid, just go all the way around. Keep going, keep going, keep going until you're facing forward. And then as you bend your knees and come back down, have a seat, and you should find now your right leg is on top. I do that just for fun. You could have just switched your legs over, but that's fun to do that. So get yourself comfortable, take a breath. Remember, opposite hand to the leg on top is the one that's going to rise up, elbow bends. Other hand is going to reach behind. You're either going to join up your fingertips or just rest the hands on the back. Take a breath in. Exhale to come forward. Again, go as far as you feel comfortable, as long as you feel that slight pull into the hips, into your shoulders. Breathe. Relax the shoulders, unwrap the legs, bring them back in front, give them a little shake, take all the tension out from those hip joints. Lift your arms, take a breath in, and we exhale it forward once more. So hopefully you feel your hips and your shoulders are much warmer, created some energy within the body. Breath should be very even from inhale to exhale. Bring ourselves back up. Let's come to a comfortable seated position. You may find it comfortable to sit with the legs crossed. Some people find this a very comfortable position to be in, others not so much. So if you want to change position, you may even want to lie down flat and come into a corpse pose. We're going to spend these last few moments in relaxation, so let's get ourselves as comfortable as we can. Rest your hands on your knees, linking your thumb and your index finger together to create a circuit of energy running through the body. Let's close the eyes. Complete awareness to our breathing. Notice the direction that the breath takes as you breathe in. The breath rises up through the belly, through the ribcage, up into the throat. Maybe you feel as if you're sitting a little bit taller. And as you exhale, feel the breath leaving through the nose. Maybe you feel the warmth of the breath against your top lip. The ribs draw inwards. The body feels a little heavier. And we feel grounded. To continue to think about the breathing, try not to let your mind wander off. Internally, opening the eyes slowly, lifting our arms as we inhale, bring your palms together. Anjali Mudra represents balance, the right and the left coming together. And we exhale, drawing the hands down. And inhale, lift up, bring the energy with you. Let's draw all that energy into our hearts. Breath in. Exhaling it down. And as we pause here, I wish you all health and happiness, happy holidays, and namaste.